Let's go. What's going on in the world, you guys? EA's latest Battlefield 6 sells 7 million copies during opening weekend. So those are decent numbers, and this headline just kind of hit me out of nowhere. I didn't really have any context for it. I just kind of saw it and thought, oh, that's interesting. And it got me thinking though, like, what is Call of Duty doing? How is Call of Duty comparing? So I actually came over here. Check this out. I went to Wiki. It's just curious, you know, what's the highest selling Call of Duty game? It turns out the highest selling Call of Duty game is Black Ops. So I wonder, what was Black Ops numbers, you know? And it turns out Black Ops 6 was indeed their best selling video game console. And it had a high engagement, a 60% increase over its predecessor, the Modern Warfare 3, and I have a player count of 50 million, but I don't have sales numbers. I couldn't find sales numbers anywhere. Even now, there's no sales numbers for it. It's just, you know, vagaries about, you know, how well it's doing. And I just got the sense from Call of Duty, a lot of hand waviness. You know, a lot of playing around with they're not telling us how many units they sold. They're saying things like player count or streams or, you know, like stuff like that. That's not units sold. So they're being deliberately vague about this. So I don't know exactly how Battlefield is doing compared to Call of Duty. I'm going to assume Call of Duty is still doing better. It's just been around for so much longer, and it just has such an immense reputation that I'm sure it's doing better. But coming back to here, over 7 million is nothing to be ashamed of. I don't like, that's doing fantastic. So I mean, who knows? Does this mean that you know, Battlefield is gonna usurp the Call of Duty? I don't know. We'll see where this goes. I'm not the biggest fan of either one. I'm not a big fan of player versus player. That PvP stuff is just a nightmare for me. I'm no good at it. I don't have time to really dig into these types of games and get good at them. So I just ended up getting, you know, my ass handed to me by a bunch of 10-year-olds who have time to sit around all day long and play these games and memorize the maps and work on all their, you know, strategy. I'm just trying to blow through the levels and just, you know, take people out as I see them. So my strategy is never good on these games. I ended up getting extremely ragey. I don't have a good time on these. I prefer PvE games. So if you can get me player versus environment, I'm gonna have a blast. The Division is still one of my favorite games, and that's strictly PvE. Now that the Xbox is offering those free Ubisoft classics, I've been playing a lot of Rainbow Six Extraction, which is extremely that's only PvE. So I have a lot of fun with those types of games. I'm not trying to play versus other people who basically make a full-time job out of, you know, handing me my ass. I'm not a big fan of that. So yeah, Battlefield and Call of Duty, not a fan of either one, although I do recognize they're, you know, they're big games in the community. It's nice to see that Call of Duty might have some competition. This was an interesting story that popped up to me. Video games and mental health, a surprising ally. This is a story that I think, this is one of those we need to be careful about stories, because let me explain why. Okay, so globally, players unanimously agree that having fun is the paramount reason for indulging in games. Okay, sounds nice. Okay, let me come down here. According to the report, 72% of Europeans say gaming helps them feel less stressed. 56% say it reduces loneliness. And globally, 77% report stress reduction. 70% lower anxiety, and 64% credit gains with erasing loneliness. Sounds wonderful. My big worry about this is it's self-reported, so I'm not quite sure how accurate those numbers are. If you're indulging in something, even if it's maybe unhealthy, but you just feel good doing it, like that's kind of it seems to me like a slippery slope. So I'm a gamer. I like gaming. I enjoy gaming. Okay. I don't think I'm the best person to report on my mental health regarding gaming. I'm worried about it. I'm worried that someone can take this report and or take this study and just kind of run with it. There is something in here, something else I wanted right here. The World Health Organization, WHO, says gaming emerges as a significant frontier for health promotion, yet, as with any medium, balance is vital. This is the World Health Organization. So they're encouraging people, right, to have appropriate boundaries with gaming, which makes sense with anything, really, right? You can do too much of anything. And they also warn of a gaming disorder, a condition where gaming takes over, eclipses other life activities, right? This is basically an addiction. So I feel like, this is why I feel like I'm a little worried about this story. I feel like people might focus on this part of the story, right? All the self-reporting of the gamers who say, oh, I feel so much better, I'm less lonely, I'm less stressed. I feel like this is where people, I'm worried this is where people are going to focus their attention, and they're not going to pay attention to down here where the World Health Organization basically says, look, we need to have appropriate boundaries and this can become a disorder. So that's just why I say we got to be careful with stuff like this. I'm definitely with gaming being a net positive for me anyway. I enjoy gaming. I always have enjoyed gaming. I've been playing since I was a kid, and I enjoy it. It's a nice escape, right? All the above, but it's definitely even gamers who enjoy gaming can definitely agree, I think, that it can also be a big problem. You've got game addicts, you got people who just can't get off the screen, and it can also suck your life dry. So I want you to I want to put that out there. Let's see here. They're a tool like anything else. It can help or be a vice. Yes, pigs. That's what I'm saying. Exactly what I'm saying. It could be a vice. Silver Kitsune, welcome. 80% of addicts report feeling better after a hit of black tar. That's right. Right? I'm a heroin user and I always feel much better. By the way, welcome, Silver.
Welcome.
For example, some people used games in COVID to remain connected to other people, and others use them to withdraw further. See, that's what I'm talking about. You can use games socially, and like right now, for instance, streaming, I think, is a great way to be social while you're playing a game. I'm enjoying these Final Fantasies more than I would if I was just playing them on my own. In fact, when I play off stream to do my grinding, I'm always like, oh man, what would so-and-so say about this? So yeah, I agree with it could be something that's social, or it could be used as something that you withdraw. How many scenes have you seen or pictures have you seen of a dinner table, people around the dinner table, and there's always that, a few people scrolling on their phones or playing a game at the table, when not even talking to the people around them. Okay, what am I doing? We are gonna venture out of our current events. Thank you, current events. I'll close these out here. Thank you guys for joining in on that discussion.